Folks. I've had to re-record this presentation. The other one didn't turn out as expected. So I'm going to just re-record what we went through last night in terms of professional conduct. The presentation then is, we'll look at the Association for Nutrition and their framework for sports nutritionists. We'll look at the Sports and Exercise Nutrition Register. We'll look at professional conduct and then research on factors clients consider important. So first of all, Association for Nutrition. They are an organisation that defines and advances standards of evidence-based practice across the field of nutrition at all levels within the workforce. They are a broad organisation and cover a lot of different factors within the nutrition industry. They hold the UK Voluntary Register of Nutritionists, a register of competent, qualified nutrition professionals who meet our rigorously applied standards for scientifically sound evidence-based nutrition and its use in practice. What they do, and it's broadly split into three parts: defining standards for the training, practice and continual professional development of nutrition professionals, advancing standards of nutrition competence across the wider workforce, and communicating with the media and others in the public and policy is a vital element of their work, as well as keeping registrants up to date on our progress. While this is a very broad organisation, you can think about these categories that have been split into three in terms of your own practice, in terms of sports nutrition, in terms of professional development, and then in terms of advancing standards and improving the competence of people within the field. So they hold the UK Voluntary Register of Nutritionists, and they have two categories in which they register professionals. So there's a registered associate nutritionist, and then there's registered nutritionist, and then there's a specialist area of sport and exercise. And accreditation for this framework is through submission of a portfolio. In terms then of their competencies then required for associate nutritionists, which is what those qualifying from this course would be mainly guided towards. Firstly, science, knowledge and understanding of the scientific basis of nutrition, understanding nutritional requirements from the molecular through to the population level for either human or animal systems. Core competency 2, feed or food chain, knowledge and understanding of the food or feed chain and its impact on food or feed choice, integrating the food or feed supply with dietary intake for either humans or animal systems. So the AFN work with more than just humans, they work with the animal food chain systems as well, so it's important to understand that they are a very broad organisation. Number 3, social behavioural, knowledge and understanding of food or feed in a social or behavioural context at all stages of the course of life for either human or animal systems. So the work that you've been doing with Kevin over the last couple of weeks in terms of behaviour change is a vital part of your work as a sports nutritionist, and it is a key competency for the AFN. Health and well-being, understanding how to apply the scientific principles of nutrition for the promotion of health and well-being of individuals, groups and populations, recognising benefits and risks for either human or animal systems. And when you think about this competency, then you're thinking about it in relation to sport and exercise and the health and well-being of your athletes. And then finally, number 5, then professional conduct, understanding professional conduct and the AFN standards of ethics, conduct and performance, along with evidence of good character. So we wanted to look a little bit closer at professional conduct then, and we have a list of 7 here. Awareness of the necessity of the ethical requirements of being a registered nutritionist, full knowledge of and adherence to all aspects of AFN Code of Ethics and Statement of Professional Conduct. It's important to recognise that when you are registered with one of these organisations, that you're required to sign a statement of professional conduct which you must adhere to in your practice, and it's important that you are aware fully of your obligations with regard to that. Awareness of and adherence to responsibilities and accountability in relation to the relevant European and national legislation, national guidelines and local policies and protocols. 3, regular development and improvement of professional practice and competence through continuing professional development. Continual reflection on an evaluation of own practice against best practice. So part of your role as a sports nutritionist is to review the results that you're getting with your client and the practice that you're using with your clients, and then comparing that to the research and the best practice in the field. Continual assessment and management of risk in own practice, and that's the risk to yourself and also risk to your client. Awareness and understanding of research and other developments in the relevant evidence base within your own speciality. And for you guys, it's obviously sports nutrition, and so you need to be up to date with the relevant research, and hopefully this master's degree will equip you in terms of the research skills and to be able to do that. And then finally, critical appraisal of the outcomes of relevant research and evaluation and application to improve your own practice. So again, your latest assessment is learning how to critically appraise. Next semester, you'll be working on critical appraisals as well. So this is a vital skill that you will need to master as you improve your practice and look to work at the highest level. We have some further competencies then in terms of professional conduct here. Awareness of the role of audit and review in quality management, including quality control, quality assurance, and the use of appropriate outcome measures. Number 9, understanding of and commitment to equality, diversity and rights, and to practice in a non-discriminatory manner. So you'll be expected, no matter who you're working with, to treat everybody with fairness and in the same manner. Understanding of and commitment to necessity of obtaining informed consent, whatever required. And particularly when you're thinking or working with underage athletes, you will need the informed consent of the parent to work with those athletes. Understanding of the need to establish appropriate professional relationships and where appropriate work effectively as part of a team. Understanding of the need to work where appropriate in partnership with other professionals, support staff, individuals, groups, colleagues, commercial organisations, the media and stakeholders. So it's important that you don't get into a silo and work by yourself, that you do reach out and work in partnerships with other organisations and professionals as part of an interdisciplinary team, sometimes within your own field or in multidisciplinary practices with other professionals who are working in sport and exercise. Finally, the ability to communicate effectively with individuals and groups, and you'll find this throughout all the frameworks, that communication skills are vital and important in the role that you are going to undertake as a sports nutritionist. So you've got the AFN, but you've also got SENR as well, or SENR, which is the Sport and Exercise Nutrition Register. And as far as I'm aware, most kind of sport and exercise nutritionists would tend to register with this organisation. So what is SENR? It is the voluntary competency-based register of choice for sport and exercise professionals. They have three categories. You've got graduate, practitioner, and academic associate. It accredits suitably qualified and experienced registrants. Competency to work autonomously as a sport and exercise nutritionist with performance-oriented athletes, as well as those participating in physical activity, sport and exercise for health. We're going to go through kind of just the different these two categories now in a second, graduate and practitioner. And when you first qualify, it is advised that you go with graduate rather than practitioner, but we'll go into a little bit more detail in that in a second. The register is expected to help in public protection and namely the sport and performance-focused exercise and community, setting protection and promotion of standards of professional practice and education, professional development of individuals, and developing the profession and its knowledge base. So wide variety of functions that this organisation deals with, and I suppose to start with, it's these middle two that are going to be most relevant, but also the public protection of the sports nutritionist community, because there are a lot of people who aren't sports nutritionists but try to work as such, and there can be a lot of bad practice out there. So it's to protect sports nutritionists in that particular community. So in terms of setting and maintaining standards, high standards are promoted in two particular ways. Through the SENR registration process, which serves as a quality assurance mechanism, assessment of qualifications and competencies helps to ensure that the level of service received by a particular client is based on the best available knowledge and practice. And secondly, a registered sport and exercise nutritionist must adhere to a strict code of conduct. Violation of this code of conduct can result in removal from the register. The code of conduct serves to ensure a minimum level of service to individuals or groups who make use of services offered by a registered sport and exercise nutritionist. Scope of practice then. The scope of practice of sport and exercise nutrition includes supporting excellence in sport performance, as well as in physical activity, sport and exercise for health. And I imagine that is why most of you guys applied for a master's degree in sports nutrition, is to support excellence in sport at whatever level, or health, exercise for health as well. Application of sport and exercise nutrition in professional practice involves the translation of knowledge about nutrition and sport, as well as exercise and physical activity, into practical advice for individuals and groups of individuals. And as a sports nutritionist, one of the key elements of your job is to take complex scientific information and distill it down into practical advice for individuals and groups in order to improve their performance. And it is vital that you engage with the scientific process and engage in these modules, learn how to distill the scientific information down into practical advice that's going to benefit your clients. Professional application of sports nutrition requires integration of scientific knowledge with the understanding of social and psychological aspects of motivation and human behaviour. And again, this is where your behaviour change models and theories come into play. And it's important again to engage with these theories then in order to then help and try and change behaviour for your client to, again, help improve their performance or their health. Professional sport and exercise nutritionists require proficiency in communication and education about their subject in order to be able to give and formulate advice that is appropriate and relevant to an individual or group.
So sad.
So the SENR competency framework, then the graduate registration is schematic is here on the left, and the practitioner registration is on the right. So for the graduate registration, your scientific knowledge here is the key factor, and you need foundation in biosciences, science of sport and exercise nutrition, and then research and evaluation. The practitioner registration is slightly more in depth then, so you need your scientific knowledge, so this element here that is needed for the graduate registration, but also then your professional application. So thinking about the scope of the role, professionalism, communication skills, professional development activities, and practical application. So part one, scientific knowledge, as we said, foundation of biosciences, science of sport and exercise nutrition. Part two then, professional application, and that is for the practitioner registration. For the graduate registration, it is an application form, reference, proof of qualification, and your CV. For the practitioner registration, then you need to understand the boundaries of the role, so boundaries of the profession, legal and ethical framework. You need to act within the boundaries of what a sports nutritionist is, and stay within those boundaries. And if there's something that is outside your role, then you need to refer that to other people and other professionals. And we move on to professionalism, but that is part of a profession. That is part of your profession and professionalism. Practice as an autonomous professional and team working. The communication skills, so communication and research data, being able to communicate those complex ideas and distill them down into practical advice. Professional development activities. So I'm sure most of you are aware of CPD, and the importance of it is in staying up to date with the relevant information within the field. Also being able to review, reflect, and have quality control in your work. And then finally, the practical application, so looking at the needs of client, understanding and supporting the exercise, the sport and exercise environment. So this is for D, this is for communication skills. Demonstrate proficient communication skills to elicit, interpret, integrate, assess, and apply the relevant information in order to provide safe and sound individualized advice. Present information clearly, tailored to the needs of the client or the audience where groups are concerned, promoting sport and exercise nutrition in an informative, engaging, and professional manner. And collate, analyse, and interpret published information on behalf of the client. Developing resources to support service interventions and client education, and effectively communicate the interpretation of data and proposed interventions. So as part of the SENR registration, you will be logged on the website as a practitioner or a graduate, and so anyone will be able to look up the list to find who is in their location, who are the sports nutritionists in your location, and then be able to contact you for further advice. In terms of applying then for the graduate SENR accredited course, you need to prepare the following documents that are required to submit during the online application. Certificate for undergraduate degree, certificate for an SENR accredited course, proof of level 2 award in food safety and catering, completed within the last 5 years, And then also evidence of completion of anti-doping education certificate. So for applicants from the UK Anti-Doping Agency, introduction to clean sport is recommended. You must provide your certificate from your SENR accredited course on application. No other alternative evidence is accepted for this requirement. If you do not have your certificate, you need to wait and apply when you receive it. SENR registration require an active British Dietetic Association membership. You can read more about the cost and payment options here. The maximum period of SENR graduate registration is 3 years, and you're only allowed one period of graduate registration. You'll be required to progress to practitioner registration within those 3 years. And it's important to consider also if this is the right time for you to make this application, as you will need to gain 2 or 3 years experience in the field of sport and exercise nutrition to apply for practitioner registration. So when you finish your master's degree, it's not a case that you probably should not apply for the practitioner straight away unless you have been kind of working in that field. It's probably better to apply for the graduate register first, and then when you're on the graduate register and working in the field, then apply for the practitioner registration then. In terms of the practitioner registration then is slightly different. There's these first two elements which are the same, so the qualification check. Step 2, you need to book and attend an SENR portfolio workshop. Once qualifications have been approved, you will be advised via email that you can book a place on the SENR portfolio day. You will need to attend an SENR portfolio workshop prior to portfolio submission. And then step 3, preparation and submission of application. Following your attendance at the portfolio workshop, you can now start to prepare your portfolio application. The portfolio is detailed and involved piece of work, and it takes you some time to collate your evidence and demonstrate how you meet the competencies. And this is why you likely shouldn't apply for the practitioner straight away. I'm not saying for everybody, but likely for most people. You're better applying for the graduate framework first, and then get some experience in the field, and then apply for the practitioner framework then once you meet the appropriate practical competencies. There are 2 dates for registration, 1st of April and the 1st of October. So every year there are 2 dates. You will be informed of the outcome panel's decision by email within 10 weeks of submission. So the Code of Professional Conduct for the SENR then is what we're going to present now. The purpose of the code is to ensure that registrars provide services in a professional, ethical and moral manner. And with all these frameworks, they are highly concerned with these 3 things, that you're professional, that you're ethical in your practice, and there is a sense of morality in what you do, because you can be working with vulnerable people, and it's important that you're aware of your responsibilities in these matters. Clients such as athletes, parents and carers, coaches, managers and professional peers will have similar expectations of registered sports and exercise professionals as they have of a registered health and care professional. So you are in a position of responsibility, and you need to make sure that your conduct is of the highest regard at all times. So as an independent and autonomous SENR practitioner, the registrant must take into account the following principles. All clients have the right to expect the highest standards of professionalism, consideration and respect. The law requires that working practices are safe and that welfare of the client is paramount. And finally, you are personally accountable for your practice. This means that you are answerable for your actions and omissions, regardless of advice or directions from another professional. And this is critically important, that you understand that when you give advice, you are ultimately accountable for it. Whether that's advising on supplementation, if something goes wrong there, you're personally accountable, and you need to be very careful in the advice that you give, because there will be consequences for bad practice. The purpose of this code of professional conduct is to provide a set of principles that apply to all sports and exercise dietitians and nutritionists. It should be read in conjunction with the SENR Graduate Full and High Performance Competencies document, which set out the competencies expected of SENR registrants at each stage of their career. The code is necessarily broad. It cannot provide definitive answers to many dilemmas that registrants may experience within their professional practice. For this reason, it is obviously open to different interpretations depending on the circumstances to which it is applied. However, used as a guidance document, this code should support all SENR practitioners to ensure that their practice is safe, effective, and of high quality. So every answer in sports nutrition, as you all know, is not black and white, and there may be situations you may take one tact, and in circumstances you may go in a different direction. But you would need to be able to justify why you've done that. And so you need to be up to date with the latest research, and you need to be able to justify your position from the research of why you've taken a certain position or went in a certain direction. Any action that conflicts with the word or spirit of this code should be considered unethical. As such, the registrar may take action against a registrant who does not keep to the standards set out in the code and or continue to meet the SENR competencies expected of the registrant. So standards of conduct then. As a sport and exercise nutritionist, you must protect the health and well-being of people who use your service in every circumstance. And this is your first job as a sports nutritionist, is to, first of all, to do no harm. That is your first port of call. And then after that, you're thinking about how you improve performance. But firstly, you must ultimately protect the health and well-being of your clients. And you may be put in positions at certain times in your careers where you think that the advice that you're going to would need to give to get the person where they want to be would go against your principles, because it's going to put the health of the athlete at risk. And so you need to be aware of the standards of conduct at that stage that are required of you. This means you must keep high standards of conduct, performance ethics, and professional practice. Conduct, first of all, then. You must always act in the best interest of your client and service users. That should be a given for everyone. Respect the confidentiality of your clients and service users. So any documentation you have needs to be stored in locked cabinets, or if online, in secured password protected folders. Acknowledge equality, diversity, and the rights of the individual. Maintain high standards of personal conduct, and provide any important information about conduct, competence, or health. You need to hold professional indemnity insurance, so you need to make sure you're covered in terms of the advice that you give. You need to adopt the UK Anti-Doping and World Anti-Doping Agency position that cheating, including doping, in sport is fundamentally contrary to the spirit of the sport, undermining the otherwise positive impact of sport on society. So there are kind of a lot of cases of doping in sport, but you as a sports nutrition professional need to be above all that, and it is cheating, and you need to take the position of UKAD and WADA then as well. Inform SENR if you're convicted of a criminal offence, receive a conditional discharge for an offence, or if you accept a police caution. In terms of performance then, you must always keep your professional knowledge and skills up to date. Make ethically sound decisions that are consistent with relevant legislation, organisational policies, and current research evidence. 3, act within the limits of your knowledge, skills and experience, and if necessary refer to another professional. And that's what we were talking about earlier, about your boundaries of practice. That if you don't know or are not sure, or if it's without your scope of practice, then you need to refer on to another professional. Maintain proper and effective communications with clients, service users and professionals. Effectively supervise tasks you have asked others to carry out for you. So just because you ask somebody to do something and they don't carry it out in the way they should, you are still ultimately responsible. And ensure working practices, including the workplace, are safe. Number 7, obtain consent before conducting a procedure or providing a service. Keep accurate client and user records, and this is important for keeping yourself right. If somebody makes a complaint, then you have accurate records then to back yourself up. Number 9, limit your work or stop practicing if your performance or judgment is affected by your health. Number 10, be mindful not to support the use of supplements with unsubstantiated claims to efficacy. There are a lot of supplements out there. There are a lot of supplement companies that are making claims that are unsubstantiated and in some cases completely untrue. You need to be, again, above this and be mindful that you need to be performing evidence-based practice in order to keep yourself right and also to keep your client right. If one of your clients fails a doping test because of a supplement that you've provided, then you are in a lot of difficulty. Number 11, as a practicing registered, you must commit to undertake UK anti-doping advisor training annually in line with registration requirements. Ethics then, you must always carry out your duty in a professional way. Behave with integrity and honesty. And make sure that your behaviour does not damage your profession's reputation. So if you are a member of the SENR registration, you are upholding the entire profession's reputation when you go to work. If you happen to damage that reputation, then it can damage the reputation of other sports nutritionists in the field. Professional practice then operate outside the legal and ethical responsibilities of professional practice. Exploit relationships with clients for your personal or gain or gratification. Accept private financial benefits or favours, which could be interpreted as an attempt to gain preferential treatment or present a conflict of interest. Number 2, you must always be impartial, objective and honest when working with service users, and never use inaccurate or misleading ways to promote a service or a product. Be aware of personal biases and reflect on how personal perspectives may influence service users. So back to AFN, Standards of Ethics and Conduct and Performance then, just a couple of slides. AFN Standards of Ethics, Conduct and Performance sets out our standards of ethics, conduct and performance and lays out how registrants are expected to behave. If you are wishing to be registered as part of your application, you need to be required to sign a declaration confirming that you will keep to the standards once you are registered. and that is critically important in terms, not just in terms of just following rules, but in terms of keeping yourself right in terms of your practice. And so here, registrants must prioritise public benefit, practice safely and effectively, work within their own limits, communicate appropriately, be honest and trustworthy, speak up about concerns, respect and maintain confidentiality, and promote professionalism. So finally then, factors considered important: registered exercise professionals' research in fitness facility users. A study done by Mitchell et al., client experiences and confidence in nutrition advice delivered by registered exercise professionals. Objectives: the aim of this cross-sectional study were to describe the client experience of registered exercise professionals in regard to nutrition advice and to identify factors considered important when selecting a registered exercise professional. The design was a convenience sample of fitness facility users were recruited. Participants completed a 46-item online questionnaire, and then method, frequency, distributions were calculated for nutrition advice received from a registered exercise professional, confidence in the nutrition advice received, and factors considered when selecting a registered exercise professional. The effect of sex and level of education on participant responses were also then investigated. So which of the following do you think was most important when deciding to work with a registered exercise professional? Is it basic conduct, price, gender compatibility, academic qualifications, physique and perceived fitness, personal professional conduct, presentation and physical attractiveness, or advertisement? What you can see here is the dark dotted lines here, not important or low importance, and then very important or extremely important in these small dotted lines. And what you can see is that when they sampled these fitness users, they said basic professional conduct and personal professional conduct was the thing they looked for the most. Not price, which was the lowest, not advertisement, and not presentation and physical attractiveness. So this is an example of the sheet that's and some of the questions that they asked. Tell us what you look for in an exercise professional when deciding on exercise professionals to work with. Identify the importance you place on each factor listed below in making your decision. So, factors considered when deciding to work with a registered exercise professional in Section E were pulled together in 8 categories. So basic conduct, there was 8 factors covering client confidentiality, awareness of limitations, punctuality, communication, and confidence. Personal conduct were 6 factors covering empathy, rapport, ability to motivate. Physical and perceived fitness, 4 factors covering being physically fit, muscular, low body fat. There was 4 factors for presentation and physical attractiveness, covering physical appearance, being physically attractive or dress sense. Advertisement was 2 factors, academic qualifications 1 factor, gender compatibility 1 factor, and then price was 1 factor then as well. So it's clear that when you're working with people that professional conduct is important. I know this lecture isn't probably the most exciting thing that you're going to ever hear, but it is important that you conduct yourself in a professional way, that you understand what your responsibilities are, and that you follow the guidelines for whatever registration framework that you decide to register with. If you have any more questions on any of these matters, I'm happy to talk to you, and if you want to email me, I'm more than happy to get a chat to you.